Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wildcard Podcast. Obviously, we want to apologize. We've had a lot going on, but we're back at it again with a little Tango 32 and Samba 16 recap. And already we're on the electric gate. Boy, oh boy, does time fly. Joining me will be with G as always. G, welcome back. Obviously, you weren't here for the first episode when Short took over. We thank Short for that. But you are back now. What a wacky, wild, and bewildering tournament. I think that's how we can describe it, G, as we move into the final rounds here. Just your thoughts on what has been truly a masquerade of May.
This has been a very weird tournament so far. It's one that I'm also kind of I think with the way some of these games are going, I'm kind of not liking it. I think this has been something we've seen with this bot as of late, which is really strange because we've never seen this before. Um, so I'm curious to see how the rest of this goes. We have 2 rounds to cover here. There was so much stuff going on, we didn't have time to do an episode for the Tango 32, so we're kind of merging both the Tango 32 and the Samba 16 together. So it's going to be a bit of recap here, but yeah, I mean, this has been a very strange tournament so far for like kind of like as I guess a spoiler ahead for anyone who doesn't really know. So there are going to be a lot of strange results, a lot of interesting results. And I mean, we have our Electric Gate set, but this is a very weird final eight here. So we'll have to get into that, but first we got to get through the Tango 32 first.
Yeah, you mentioned the bot. Well, while we were away on a little hiatus, we do have a bot announcement. We'll talk about that maybe in topic 4, but we'll have a separate episode on that. It has been a wild last couple of weeks here. Let's get into that Tango 32, beginning with the first of, many of weird tournament upsets. Let's start with Captain Myth. And G, this was Monster Myth. This was really the start of something was going on because Cap just looked lackadaisical. He tried his 5-6, he tried 10, and Myth was just getting hand after hand after hand after hand. His quick pace was basically the same as Cap, and he just took care of business. It's the Zach story. Used that Zach momentum, and all of a sudden he just won. I mean, it doesn't matter for Cap in the grand scheme of things, G, right? He's already locked in. He's probably one of the 2 guys that could have afforded the loss. But you wonder with Cap, is he ripping the top off, as in he tried some things in the last tournament and just was burnt out? He did come off a bye island. He didn't win a game this tournament. Just your thoughts on Myth winning, but the strange case of Cap.
Um, yeah, and I think for me, this is kind of where I'm talking about this new meta, and I actually think one of the people who's very much benefiting from this is Myth. Um, I actually think Captain usually benefits from this too, but I think the problem is that Myth has found something here, and I think he's just making it work. And I think for Captain, it's just I think it's part of like the risk that goes with this playstyle he goes with. Unfortunately, it kind of bit him this time. So, um, interesting result 4-1 Myth, but Myth's found something which is good because he had a terrible season last year. So he's having a run here and looking to possibly make Super League, possibly have a rebound season here. But um, yeah, overall, interesting match. Not for the ways of like amazing plays, but just kind of weird how the pacing went. Let me pull up the match time here. I actually don't think this went that long. And
No,
it
did
was
not.
it. No, it did not. Assuming I can find it. Where is it? It was one of the first matches around. Yeah, only 19 minutes.
Oh boy.
So I mean this is not even close to one of the shortest matches, which is crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I think for Captain, I know some people might say he's playing poker. I don't think so. I just think he kind of was just not fortunate. I think both these players knew what they're going to go do going into this matchup, and I think Captain was the one who just didn't get the roles as he needed. So Myth moves on. Big win for him, helps his resume, and I think he's thrown himself back into this Super League conversation when he was barely in it last year.
See, he was one game, the first game of the season this year. He said he was just trying to get out of D2, right? I don't want to go to D2. Then at one point he was supposed to be in D2. Then admit I'm content with it. Now he's done a complete 360 and is now in Super League contention. But that's unreal. I don't think we're gonna. You think that's the craziest story of this tournament? There's more to come. And this next game, this was the craziest game I've ever seen. I was not here. Obviously, I had some personal matters going on. We're not going to get into that. But
You know.
for what I'm going to say is, watching this game back on tape, Lane Sanders had this game won. He had a 7-bagger to finish, but then Vapor does a power play in Game 7 and finishes it off basically on a split 8-bagger. What? I don't even know what to say. Vapor shouldn't have won this game. Lane remember, he reverse swept to Pier and nearly did another Game 7 master class. Vapor got away with one. I don't know what to say, G. That was just mind-boggling how he got away with one. He knows he never really had control of the game. He was making mistakes. Lane was taking advantage. I think Lane had one game in Game 3 or something. I looked back. He had 3+4s on a finish, was like 10-bagger. Monstered hands from both players, but somehow Vapor Game 7 had a little bit more of a monster hand. Is there anything else to say other than Vapor just needed that win? And Lane did impress me. I mean, he did have a good you beat Tapir. You did something right. But your thoughts on this one for sure. Another weird, strange game.
Yeah, I mean, for this one, I think, and we saw it with the power play there. Sometimes that offensive power play can do you really well, especially if you have like special cards to the finish. Could use that to end the game right there, especially if you don't have any on the specific color. But overall, yeah, it was really weird ending. But I mean, both players got crazy power cards. It was kind of just a battle of ammo there, but not in the way where it stalled out the game. Just kind of went into the finish here. I cannot find this game on the timesheet here. I don't know why. But uh, yeah, I'm wondering if maybe that did not get posted in the matchup results. But I think we have it listed, so that's all right. But yeah, yeah, I'm just I think for Vapor, this was an important win for him because I think he needed to get out of this round, and he did do just that. So, um, makes it to the SAMBA 16, breaks the 32 curse he had in the first two tournaments. But for Sanders,
No,
I think
29 minutes. It's the last one. That's why it was the last game of the round. 29 minutes.
29 minutes. That is why. Okay, I actually thought it was one of the middle ones, but um, yeah, I mean, I think in general, when you look at it, you really have to consider that this was an important win for Vapor. He absolutely needed this. So, broke that round of 32 curse he had in the first two tournaments. And now he jumps into the round of 16 and went on to face Myth. We'll cover that one in a bit, but we're going to have to finish these first few matchups here in the Tango 32 first.
See, this is one of 3 games that was just heartbreaking to watch, in my opinion. Very heartbreaking. This one was the Caesar game. This game only lasted 23 minutes, and the way that game ended, where Caesar had a wild and played green, he felt like he was in a box. ALP was getting everything under the sun. Caesar fought like an animal. He did get that win on 15-5, the double splits, but I just felt bad for him, man. You don't wish that on nobody the way that game. It just felt like a deflator. Congrats to ALP, another ranked win, which was huge on his resume. But man, we've talked about this. G, Caesar needs to make the run, and it just didn't happen here. It wasn't his fault. He tried everything. Definitely one of 3 people, in my opinion, that truly got hosed this round. Tough on this. This is a tough one to watch and swallow and recap because it only took 23 minutes. It's like you said. It's been short, man. All these matches have been really short. That were 4-2s and 4-3s this round. It was very weird. A lot of fast paced, and we know Caesar's not a guy that likes these short. He likes the endurance battle. He likes pushing the pace out. It just wasn't in his wheelhouse. The ALP flexed it. This is definitely a tough one to talk about for sure.
I mean, yeah, I will say I think the ending kind of just unfortunate. You don't wish that on anyone, but I mean, when you always have that wild switch on Uno, the thing is most of the time uh, can be avoidable, but also sometimes when it's that early could just be a roll of the dice. Unfortunately, did not get it. So um, disappointing end there, but I mean, yeah, I think for Caesar, this has just been a season of missed opportunities here, which is not great here because he's one of those people around the Super League cutoff. So he needs something. LaPlante, once again, I cannot tell whether he is lucky or absurdly good. He is one of the hardest players to call in this entire league. So that has continued once again. But had some good plays, but also had some mistakes throughout. So it's really weird to figure out with Plant, which could I guess play to his advantage, but still I cannot tell what is going on with that. But yeah, disappointing ending for Caesar. I guess it kind of on an error, but again, it's like an error you don't want to see anyone that you don't want to see happen to anyone. So yeah, tough ending to the tournament for Caesar. I mean, he's really got to look at tournament 4, tournament 5. Got to make at least like an elite 8 run or something like that. Obviously, want the final 4, but just got to break out of it. Like a few other people this season, there's a lot of people who are just in like weird spots and need to break out of it.
Yeah, and you look at Caesar G. I mean, the number one thing we always talk about him, and it seems like it's been a story for the last year. When's he going to get that quality win? Now, congratulations to Caesar, by the way. He is now part of the commission team. We'll talk about that another time, maybe at the end of the episode. But we do wish him the best on that. It's great. He definitely earned his stripes there. But yeah, he needs that breakout win. Maybe T4. I think that has to be the one because he knows T5. That could be an absolute chaotic tournament. Gee, this one, this has to be one of the most inexcusable losses because it's happened again for JT. JT up 3-0. Everything is going right. He just had, unfortunately, lost his granddad. Everything was going right. And then all of a sudden, G just loses game 5. Right, or game 4, excuse me. Okay, normal. Game 5, man error. And then game 6 has the game basically won. Throws a power play too early. Brad throws his headset off, throws it away, comes undeafened. Game's not over. And then he just lost it in the end. We saw it with Ashley, Ashley versus JT. Remember, G, in March? Had the game won, and then power play miscues. This is not has anything to do. He had everything going right. And then similar to the Clint game where Clint blew it, he becomes the first player in known history of this league to get reverse swept while reverse sweeping somebody the previous round. Brad somehow stays alive after the misplay green skip 6 combo from Ellison after he missed the P. And now this where he shouldn't even be here. This man's got 9 lives. Thoughts on this one? Bad Brad making a statement and JT just throwing his brain cells out the window. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Turner even said this post game he doesn't know what he was doing there. Big major mistake there that kind of blew the game, and I mean it's kind of unfortunate because same thing happened I would say with Clint where he had the game had the game going well, possibly had it won, and then just completely threw out their mind in the last 4 games. So I think for Turner this is a huge missed opportunity here. The reverse hoop came back to bite him. But for Brad, I mean, I think he kept in it. I know he was felt like it was over. I do think you gotta keep it going until the game's officially over because you never know what happens. Sometimes there could be like a missed Uno call or something like that. You gotta pounce on. So never really over until the bot says it's over. Which I mean, sometimes that's figuratively, but most of the time it's literally. But yeah, I think overall for Brad, this was definitely something where he escaped with one, but sometimes you just kind of get those in this league. So moves on to the SAMBA 16, goes up against the Plant. We'll see how that one goes in a bit.
Yeah, and we'll see how that one goes in a bit. As you said, and this is probably the next game, G, where absolute hosing goes. How about Ghost getting a back-to-back sweep on the world champ? This was just another game where he had everything under the sun. I think Ashley had 37 cards at one point, just a +4 reverse, and somehow Ghost would just continue to find the cards and find another way, gets another sweep. Not really much to say here, G. It's been the meta, right? You talked about it, and for this tournament, congratulations to Ghost. He's just found a way, and what do you say, Bailout City or not? He's gotten the cards. Not going to really affect too much for Ashley. Had the 2 finale runs. Probably still in a good spot, but talk about Ghost's ceiling here as he's the sophomore that everyone's now looking at.
Yeah, and this is Ashley's first non-final loss here, and also after the last two tournaments where she made the final, goes out in the Tango 32. Really didn't play a game. Didn't really get a game win here, but um, and I think the luck was really dry here. And I mean, for Ashley, it's okay for her. She could afford this. She already had two finals appearances. Obviously, she would have wanted to win one of them, but she's in a relatively safe spot at the moment, especially with how um, insane some of these results have been so far this season. But this is a huge win for Ghost here. Again, even if you want to chalk it up to card luck, this is a big win for Ghost here. Was able to get the job done. That's going to help him a lot in the Super League battle. So, going to be big for him. And I'm looking at these results here. That's the second. That was the second straight 4-0 here. 4-0 to Bowtie in the first round, then 4-0 Ashes in the second round. So Ghost is on a bit of a run here. We'll see how that goes for him as it goes along. But yeah, good win for Ghost. Going to be very helpful as he goes into this Super League battle. But for Ashley, not the end of the world. But obviously, you'd hope for a little bit more of a fairer match.
Absolutely, and we'll see how that one goes for Ghost. We'll see what his run do. But like you said, still a good spot for Ashley after the chaos that is unfolding. Speaking of another weird game, this was extremely weird. Yepes nearly pulled this off with 0+4s, and that is correct. I talked to him after the game, like, did you actually have 0? I looked back the tape, and that is indeed correct. He almost won a best of 7 with 0+4. That would have been one of the most incredible wins of all time. But as you'll see, he did take the Legends class in the second round, which, well,
Spoiler alert.
that's another story for another time about class things. But Clay got the job done, G, at the end of the day. He did a great job, despite a little bit of some top decking and, of course, getting lucky in the sense that Yepes never had a chance with a +4. He needed this win. Big head-to-head tiebreaker, too, over Yepes down the road. Talk to me about this match and how big that is for Clay. Considering Yepes, the world champion from last year, is he's basically in the same spot as Caesar, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, I mean, Yepes right now is on the outside looking in. So, and Clay was just on the outside of the top 25, just kind of missed the cut there. But hopefully, this win will definitely help him throw himself into that conversation, which he definitely needed. But I think in general, Yepes played a good game here, just came up a bit short. Was kind of like a back and forth. I mean, like Yepes was keeping it close when it probably really shouldn't have been. But I think Clay was able to make sure he did the right things to prevent Yepes from getting ahead. So good stuff to Clay. Definitely a big win that he needed for Yepes. I mean, the season continues where he's just trying to find some good success and just cannot really find it. I mean, doesn't have any insane wins, I don't believe. I mean, he did beat Ziemba last tournament, which might actually age well, but again, another spoiler alert, but we'll have to see on that, which I don't think anyone was expecting. But yeah, I mean, let's just jump into the next match here, which was, I don't think there's a lot to talk about here.
No, I was not here, and G, I think this is very close to the Siren match here because this one was a joke. This was, I don't even know what to say here. Yoshi just dominated. Aiden Smith had a lot of the ammo, and just I don't know, kind of just let it go to the wayside. Not sure what his move was. There's not much to say. Yoshi domination. I don't got much to add. Anything you got to hear? That was pretty cut and dry.
Not really. I mean, Aiden got that big win in the first round. And I think from here, this second round's always kind of been his struggle. So I wasn't really able to bring much to the table. Yoshi kind of just went on cruise control here, took it 4-0. Not much to say. Just Aiden walking away with this. It's just Aiden walking away with one win, and that's it. Yoshi moves on to the next round.
Yeah, pretty much cut and dry. Congrats to Yoshi as he builds up his platform. This is one of the more shocking results, G, because this one was one of the few games where it actually felt kind of fair. And Chapman just got outplayed by the echo chamber that was Drip. Drip was absolutely on fire that night. Echo chambering him away. Chapman was almost, I mean, there was times when he was hoping for double skill, lost composure. I don't know what to read on Chapman, G. A top 4 player. Obviously, he was top 5, but to many was the 4th best player in many rankings lists. Is this a concern for Chomik or a blip on the radar, similar to how he lost to Nam? in T1 because this is interesting from Chapman. Now these are some sporadic results where he's made it far, the Final Four, and then he's also lost in these early rounds. What do you make of Chapman? And thoughts on Drip getting that big win, needing that for his Super League resume? That's a huge win for sure.
Yeah, Drip definitely needed that. He's another one of those people who is probably on that bubble picture. He was in the 20s, I believe. So hopefully
21, yep.
21, yeah. Hopefully they jump into the teens for this next reveal show. But definitely needed that. Played well for Chomik. I mean, I think composure is a bit of an issue that we're gonna have to watch here. But sometimes you kind of don't get like the greatest cards, but you can still work with them. I think it's just you can't just rely on all the plus fours. That's just kind of not how it works. But sometimes it's just kind of how it goes, and it's kind of like it's kind of a weird spot. This tournament is very strange, but just kind of got to take some of these losses in stride, even if it feels like there's not much to take stride in. But yeah, unfortunate result for Chomik after a really good run last tournament. We'll see how this affects him in the Super League rankings, but a big win for Drip for sure.
Big win for Drip as he moves on to the Samba. Now we move on to the next Region G, and while this was the 1-1 where a lot of people thought there could have been an upset, and it unfortunately came true, but not without some interesting top deck heaven. I mean, Game 5, it was pretty equal, 2-2. And then all of a sudden, Abian in Games 5 and 6 just found everything. +2 combos, +4 bailouts. DJ was fighting tooth and nail, and he never got to that pivotal Game 7 where we know DJ is just really clutch this year. And for DJ, that's going to end his streak of top 2 losses for sure. I don't believe Abian will be jumping into the top 3 anytime soon, so that ends his streak. But big win for Abian. Gee, that's a top 4 win. And once again, Abian picks up the pieces and makes another run here. Do you think DJ just is a player this year that needs to get in the clutch, or do you think he has some more work to do as he did not get an official win, just a DQ win this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call. I was thinking DJ was in a relatively good spot going into this one. Obviously, this loss sucks because he was looking to build that consistency he had, but that kind of just put a wrench in those plans. So we're gonna have to see how that plans. But again, Abian was another one of those people who are on the bubble, so this is a good win for him. A lot of these 9 seeds were people who are on the bubble, needing a big win. So get this win here is definitely gonna help a lot of them in the Super League, but. Yeah, I was not here for this match, so I don't have a lot to say about this. But yeah, Avian with a big win. Congratulations to him. And then I'm looking at this next match we have, and oh Jesus, this was something.
This is the saddest match around. G.
I mean, I have a different phrasing for it.
This was one of the worst matches I have ever seen in league history. An 8-minute match. This was terrible. I wasn't here, like I said, personal issues, and I knew it was bad when I got a phone call from old Arden. I had 24 numbers out of 25 cards. What am I supposed to do with it in Game 3 and 4? To an extent, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, just wanted to throw that in there.
I'll be honest with you, Jay. This was one of the worst matches I've ever seen. It just seemed like I see where Art was trying. He probably saw all the chaos. Let's go low. What do I got to lose? And think about it. What is Art really good for? 13-12? It wouldn't have mattered. He tried something different. It didn't work out, sure, in Game 1. But then, even then, I'm a pretty damn good player, G. You give me 24 numbers out of 25 cards with one wild, I can't come back from that. That's almost impossible. I can understand his frustration. I would have been pissed too. Nothing Art could have done. Tango, congratulations, but kind of more of a hollow victory for sure. Your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, as you can't tell by the sound, this was my worst game of the round, and we're gonna have another one for the SAMBA Tango 16, SAMBA 16. I just lost it. SAMBA 16. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, this was an 8-minute series for a best of 7.
Terrible.
That is insane. I don't have word. I think for Ard, I think the only thing that I think was kind of self-inflicted was the initial 5-card start. I don't think he should have done that, but everything else besides that, I mean, yeah, just like there's really nothing you could do here. This didn't feel like a game. This felt like this felt like just walking someone to like their grave or something like that. Like
Funeral.
legitimately nothing you could do. I guess a funeral also, but I would say it's just watching a live man to their grave. But yeah, Tago gets the win. I mean, Art hasn't been a good win so far this season, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I think everyone knew after. I was running a D2 game at the time of this match. I believe that went on for like 20 25 minutes, and that was a best of five. Um, and I was ready to jump into the call to watch the end of the Ard game, and then when I got there, I saw it already ended. So, and that game started after my D2 match. So that was something. But yeah, I mean, for Ard, legitimately, in my opinion, one of the times where I think, even with hindsight, there was absolutely nothing he could have done. So yeah, tough loss there. There's really not much Ard could do there.
Yeah, I think guards. Unfortunately, G, we talk about it. He's really good in round one, and who's really good in round one? Caesar, right? And those guys are in the same peas in the pod, man. They just continue to be excellent in round one, but then after that, it hasn't been the season. They're going to have to look for some more, as they both have similar paths. They have flawless in round one, a round two exit, and a Sweet 16 exit. Can't get much closer than that. But this next match, G, self-inflicted. Self-inflicted. Nam had a lot of problems the previous round against Brian. It looked like he got into his own head, G. I'm going to be honest with you. We both called this upset. I'm disappointed in Nam. This was not the tournament for him. He made a lot of professional errors. You look at his resume, it's there. It's still good enough for a top 15 sponsor, for sure. But is the professionalism there of the long season? He needs to show some in T4G, because right now, it hasn't been the same Nam since March. I don't know. For Ed, big win, but you got to start to wonder for Ed. Issues with the dark match, which was insane. Now Nam, who wasn't in it, is Ed coming in at the right time, at the right place for the people that just aren't executing at the top level? Or as you think, as you said, there are some serious concerns in Nam, which you have expressed after that Logan loss, that seem to be boiling over. What's the verdict on this? What's a tough one to read, for sure?
I think there's legitimate issues with Nam here. I mean, the first round was a disaster. Legitimately got gifted a win at the end. And this round, I mean, just nothing. And I mean, I think this is the problem when you kind of get curb stomped 6-1 in the final four. You kind of just lose that momentum entirely. And I think it was really about how he rebounds from that, and he has rebounded from that very poorly so far. I think he's thrown himself into the bubble picture now with this because I know the Brian match he didn't play that great. He did get the win though, but Brian has not been a great win so far this season. And then loses to Ziemba, which maybe, I mean, up to this point was not a great loss, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, I think you have to be on red alert for Nam here. He has not shown anything similar to what happened in tournament one. You have to kind of look at that tournament one run and consider whether or not it was if it was a one hit wonder. It could have been a one hit wonder, and he might not make it back there again. And that could be a huge problem for him if he wants to make Super League because with how competitive this field is. I'm thinking one Final Four and then just doing nothing the rest of the regular season might not be enough to make it.
It's going to come down to T4 for Nam. If he can get back to at least just a S16 and then maybe build another S16 in the final tournament, he's safe. But if he doesn't, a first round exit or something like that, he's on thin ice. He's definitely starting to get into that danger zone. I know we can't have multiple worsted around, but this has to be at least a close second because this was terrible. This was one of the worst games I have ever commentated.
At least it ran long.
It ran long, but the composure was terrible. We had Radid making threats after the game to JT. This was I don't want to think about this one. Congratulations to Lara. I don't even know how Radin got here. I really don't even know. Well, you got anything to add? I'm just going to kind of fast forward on this one. This is terrible.
Yeah, I think Rodden had that win in the first round, and it just kind of did nothing with it. Laura just kind of taking advantage. That's kind of what happens sometimes with these big upsets. So Laura moves on. Rodden gets a 4-0. I mean, getting that series win definitely helps him, but he's still in that relegation battle. So I think he's the worst one-win person now. So he's that person who's on the hot seat here. Moment one of those 0-win people wins, he's going to be the one that goes below the cut line again. So gonna have to keep an eye out for that. But Lara gets a win here. I believe they made their first round of 16 appearance in this league so far. So congratulations to him. But Lara so far has had a very quietly good season. So might be someone to keep an eye out for in these last two tournaments here.
Yeah, considering they were a sophomore debutant, we'll see how it goes, man. They did a good job. Back-to-back international wins too. Their own in-state or in-country battle with Canada and now Iran. We'll see how they do in the S16. Well, we go to my match, G. You know, a lot of people had circled this one as a potential one, and congrats to Seth, man. I took this one. You know I took this one stride because I knew minute one when I got that game one win. I saw 7 green. I'm like, it's gonna be a long night. We're gonna fight. Stayed within 1 or 2 turns all night, even in losses. I accept that as an L, but I accept that as good learning, and we take it into stride. I don't think I lost this game. I think Seth just had a great maneuvers on the wilds he was given, executed perfectly, and took care of business. I'll shake his hand all day. And I told him, I even said after the game, man, great job. I did everything. I just needed that one wild. I never got the wild, just the regular wild, and I could have made some magic, but I didn't get that. I was getting a bunch of green cards all night. I felt like Clint, and also a bunch of +2 ammos where I'm not the best at controlling that. Sometimes I wait to the end. Sometimes I see 6 or 7 of them. I never had seen that all season. I just wasn't getting the looks and the packages I needed to win. I'm not going to blame this one on 100% card luck, but I am going to say Seth definitely has great wild control. And if he can just clean up those small mistakes, which he's starting to figure out, I think, and the power play, of course, which we'll talk about in these future games, he could be someone to watch. We saw it against Fitzy last year where what was that, like 90-minute series and a best of 5 where he just took Fitzy to the brink. He's definitely making his run here. Congratulations to him. And you streamed this game, so you knew more of this than me because I was definitely. I always watch back the broadcast, but your thoughts on this one, G?
Yeah, I mean, I think for this one, Seth played it really well. Was able to get what he needed for KT. I mean, I think uh, he was trying his best what he did, but with what he had, but unfortunately, just kind of came up short. I mean, KT's one of those people who didn't really need this one, to be honest. But still, obviously, sucks to go out in this round. Every single one seed lost this round, which is legit crazy. But yeah, I mean, for Seth, the big win here helps his resume a lot. That KT win is definitely going to be helpful going forward. I would say the captain, Ashley wins will as well. But yeah, I think for Seth, big win, definitely needed this to throw himself back into the hunt. And I think he's done just that. So he's going to have to be someone you keep an eye out for that's on the bubble coming into this upcoming reveal show.
He will for sure, G. And one thing for Seth, you got to think as the rounds get later, the unknown, you just don't know. He could be on more house money. Speaking of what a weird, I don't even know if you were here for this. This was a weird one, G. Carson uses a power play early on, gets the win, and then we go to a game 7, and Zay literally said in the quote, "Yeah, the bot made the difference. Got 3 bailouts in game 7." That pretty much sums it up, G. I think that's another game where it's just you can't do much when someone literally says the bot made the difference. The meta's here, right? And Carson, this is a tough one for him, right? He was a top 20 player. You know, you think about this, I'm gone, the opportunity was there. Is this a more missed opportunity for a guy like Carson, losing to Zay, who's been kind of wishy-washy all season? Had that great win on Sting, but then lost to Yepes early on. Kind of has been inconsistent to the core. What's your thoughts on this match? This was more of I think, a blown opportunity for Carson where he couldn't just do much in game 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where I think Carson needed this win, didn't quite get the job done here, but I mean, it's kind of just another one of those situations where you kind of look at the game and it's just kind of like back and forth, power card this, power card that, so weird ending, weird end for this one. I mean, for Carson, he's definitely wanting that run and still has not found it, so. I feel like he's the person who's leading this sophomore class at the moment, so a disappointing end here. I think he could have had this game won, but for Zay, he's kind of one of those rookies that's kind of just quietly done just quietly been around, not at the bottom of the pack, but not really at the top either. So this could be a big win to shift the momentum here, possibly break out of that mid tier package for the rookie class. But yeah, we'll see how that goes for Zay. But big win for Zay here.
Yeah, big one for Zay as he moves on. And then this next match, G, has to be the story of the tournament. It would have been Ed, but this guy right here from New Zealand, toaster guy, at some of the most unconventional plays you'll ever see. Crikey, he's going crazy. But this one was clearly his advantage on the. He had about 92% of the ammo. Nick was going to lose a game on a 10-bagger or something until he did a power play in Game 5. Nick was fighting some 5-on-1 basketball, as he said. Tough break for Nick. I know we were high on him at the beginning of the year. He's in a weird spot now at 2-win. Toaster guy, though, big win here, and he starts to build an insane platform that we'll talk about in the next game. Thoughts on Nick here? What's he got to do to bounce back? Because he definitely had high hopes for sure.
Yeah, I think for Nick here, just kind of a tough situation because I mean, again, he's someone who has not really escaped out of this round of 32 here. So for Nick, definitely a win he would have liked to have. Doesn't quite get the job done. Toaster Guy is the one who's going to move on here, and Toaster Guy, after not having the best start to the season, has really done well in this Masquerade. May really taken advantage of all the insanity that's been happening. So. Good win there. I don't have much else to add. I don't think I was at this one, so.
Yeah, and ironically, the last game, I was kind of hit or miss. This was the Kev Monkey game, and for Monkey Boy, I got away with one. Kev had a lot of ammo, really could have used it a little more cleaner, but Monkey found a way, G. He's been one of the most, I would say, insane stories of the year, right? We see him with the 2 DQ wins, but he's been consistent enough to just hang around. At this point, all the 1 seeds were cooked. He was the last guy standing as a 2 seed. He was the highest remaining seed up to this point. Found a way. I think this is just more survival of the fittest for Monkey. And talk to you. Obviously, you had just lost to Kev. Tough one for Kev there. Couldn't pull it off where he had a lot of control over the game.
Yeah, I have no idea. I feel like this is the second time in a row where it's like someone playing well enough in the first round and then just kind of blows it in the second round. I don't really know what was happening with Kev here. Bit of a return to expectations from what we usually expect. But I mean, I think for Monkey, it's just season continues where he's just kind of going through the field and just kind of is there. So um, we'll see how that goes. I would not have expected Monkey to be in this position that he is right now, but we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, with that said, that's it for the Tango 32. We'll jump into the Samba 16 now.
Yeah, we'll go back up the top, and we'll start with, here we go, G. Welcome back to the Crazy Game Series. Vapor, well, what is there to say? The man was in control. Had a couple of issues in game 1 or 2, sure, it was a split, but then he just rolled. 4-2, everything in control. You know, everyone's saying this is his to lose, right? Mitch just finds the 5-card starting game 8, and then game 9, Vapor had everything going for him. At least he thought he did, and then just lost all momentum. Didn't get the hand in game 9. Myth got the monster hand and some draw cities. And ultimately, Vapor just couldn't do it. And with his resume, G, of wins such as Eric, Monaco, and Payne and Leia, he needed this win more. That's a tough one to swallow for Myth. As you said, he hit on a setup. This setup is working. Whatever he hit on back in, I want to say last tournament when he lost to Drip, because remember, that one went 7. Whatever he hit on that game to now, he's looked like a different player. Dare I say, he's 1 win away from really jumping into a top 20-15 consideration. It's incredible to think, but he's definitely there now. Talk to me about Vapor losing it right here in probably one of the weirdest games, because it was only a 20-minute best of 9. That's averaging 2.1 minutes. That's crazy. That's insane.
Every game either went 0 minutes, 2 minutes, or 4 minutes. So again, one of these really weird results. But Vapor was up, I believe, 4-2 here, so couldn't quite close it out. But I mean, again, Myth went with that low card 5 card and was able to get the cards there to have game 9. So. It's a style that's worked for him. We'll see how that goes and develops with the rest of the field, which I feel like we've seen a lot of this so far. But I mean, Myth makes his first Elite 8 ever, so congratulations to him. Vapor definitely needed this win though, so he's going to be thinking about this one. Loses 5-4 here.
Yeah, he did. He knows what he's got to improve, and I know he's very good in August, but who knows? Next match. Well, this has to be one of the craziest games around. G. We got ALP up 3-1, everything going right. Then Brad gets it back to 3-3, and then all of a sudden, ALP starts huffing Sharpies. G. He starts smelling it. No joke. He starts smelling those Sharpies. What a weird game. Then it was 4-4, and then game 9, and then I don't even know, just lost composure, and Brad found a way. There were points in this game, G, where Brad was trash talking a man saying he can't start on 5 cards. He's got no power play. That's all I got to say. And ALP just said, let's huff a couple Sharpies. That really reminded me of the Rad and KT game, G. A little bit reminiscent of that. It's been the story for Brad. 9 lives. He did it again. His opponents kind of cracked when they were up or in control, and he's on. Congrats to Brad for ALP. I still don't have a read on him. Is that how you assess it?
Yes, I said this in the Tango 32 review for against Caesar. I cannot tell whether this guy is really good or really lucky. We still cannot figure this out, and we are 3 tournaments in. One of the hardest players to read in this field, so I have no idea what to say about LaFlampe. But for Brad, gets him when escapes with another one here. I believe this is his 3rd straight full distance win here. So he's escaping in these game 7, game 9s here. So Brad's able to get the job done here and survive.
Yes, sir, G, and I just sent you the pics, man. There it is, the famous shot. Oh man. Oh man.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're gonna have a little bit of a off-season award show. Who had the better moment? A little bit of some Sharpie huffing or Sour Patch Kids? Oh boy. Anyway, let's move on to the next region before we start losing.
Thankfully, this is an audio show. This was visual. We might have to censor that, but truly insane stuff going on here.
Impeccable tournament, impeccable. And speaking of more impeccable. Remember the last time someone won 13-0? We're not going to say his name, but this guy we will. It's Ghost. How about this? Destroys Clay, and he didn't even really get much ammo. The number efficiency was vintage postal office, PO box, Peter Odd, vintage PO style to win this game. G, incredible. The man was playing like vintage Peter and got the job. He's won sweeps in 3 different ways, whether it be capitalizing on Bowtie's mistakes, getting some card luck against Ashley, and this time just vintage P.O. box style in the Peter Onjak number efficiency. Clay was out the launch. Unfortunately, he was fighting tooth and nail, but never had the momentum. Not a win for Ghost. He goes to 13-0. Big win. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, for Clay, just kind of couldn't do nothing. Couldn't really get the job done here. I think this is a win he definitely wanted. Just does not get the job done. For Ghost here, I mean, continues 13-0, has not lost a game yet. So looking to keep that streak going into Lee. I don't think we've ever had someone go through an entire region of 4 rounds and not lose a game. So that would be crazy if Ghost wins this upcoming regional final 5-0. But I mean, for Clay, definitely a missed opportunity here. Definitely was looking to get a win here to boost himself further into the bubble picture. But I think for Ghost, he's boosted himself possibly above the cut line here. We'll have to see in the reveal show. But good win for him. He moves on and looking to continue his run to Super League.
This has been the sweep region, G. Another sweep, and this time, unfortunately for Drip, this is the 2nd game in a row where we had issues with the audio. We had some technical issues. And it's the same round where he lost 5-0 to Cap, where my speakers were this time echo effect. I think Drip just wants to distance himself away, maybe do a little social distancing away from technology for a little bit. Tough one there. He always just capitalized on his missed pickups, as in he left the reverses open. He tried everything, just wasn't enough. Tough one for Drip to swallow. He's now 0-10 in this round in the last 2 tournaments. And for Yoshi, just picked up the pieces, really. That's all I got. Kind of similar to Ghost, where he's now won 11 in a row. I think dating back to that A. Rogers when he was down or something. So he's now on a streak. Something's got to give. The streaker battle of 13 versus 11. Thoughts on this one?
I mean, listen. We're looking at this. This is the second tournament in a row Drip loses in a sweep, which is unfortunate for him. I mean, can't really escape this, it seems. But I mean, for Yoshi, this is a big win here. I believe this is the first time he has ever made the regional finals here. So, definitely a huge help here, and he's definitely taken advantage of this chaotic tournament so far. So, definitely something he absolutely could need. So, congratulations to Yoshi here. I mean, he's always kind of been um, floundering around a bit for the longest time because I think last season the narrative was he could not win those big games. Takes a big win here. Now he goes into probably the biggest game he's had so far in his MRE career, and he goes into the regional finals here for a spot in the Final Four. We'll be up against Ghost. That's going to be an interesting match to watch out for. But yeah, you said this. This is the region of sweeps. One to two, three, four, five, six sweeps in this region. So a lot of 4-0s, a lot of 5-0s. So gotta wonder if there's going to be a sweep there, which potentially puts either Ghost at 18-0 or keeps Yoshi going because Yoshi has two sweeps also. So he does have the two losses to Rogers though, so not a clean sheet. But yeah, I mean both these players have kind of just ran through their region so far.
Yeah, it's been running the gauntlet, and they know what to do. And we go into Dragon Dance Region G, probably the most cracked out game of the round, or one of many, I would say. But in terms of ammo, Avion had 18 plus twos. Tango had 15 plus twos. 26 wild and wild plus fours combined. High octane action. And somehow Tango finds a way in games 8, 7 and 8, just to really put the nail in the coffin for Avion. Once again, just Tango with the monster at the end, and it's been his tournament where he can just find the monster hand, except the game against Matt Johnson. Where, think about it, if Matt just does a power play in game 3, he's not even here. It's insane to think, but those micro margins has allowed Tango to make his first ever E8 versus he's gone in round 1. It's crazy. Matt Johnson could have been here, similar to how JT and him back in March. Talk to me about Christian Tal getting another top 25 win. This time, a little bit more cleaner than whatever the Ard one was.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this one, just kind of like a back and forth battle for the most part. Tago ends up being the one coming up on top here. Wins it in 8, so 5-3 victory here. Let me pull up the match card here. But yeah, 28 minutes. But we ran high card starts for most of this things, and games still were not as long as you think. The longest game was 7 minutes. So again, this is kind of a weird thing going on with this bot where it just does not like these long games. Just wants it to be over and done with. So gonna be something we monitor into these last few rounds. But big win for Tango. I believe that is his first regional final here. Avion unfortunately comes up short in this round again. Made it to this round in March. Goes out in this round again in May. So bit of a disappointing result, but definitely a return to potential form after a disappointing April. So Avion probably throwing himself back into that bubble picture. But I mean, for Tygo, big win here. Looks to make his first Final Four here, and he's got a very interesting opponent, which I don't think anyone would have predicted going into this tournament.
No, nobody would have predicted this guy. He basically said himself after this game, the glazing has to stop. The glazing, man. Ed Ziemba beats Larry 5-1 and then makes the prudent comment, the glazing needs to stop. I'm here to play. What is there to say? This man was getting bailout city, top deck heaven, and he finds a way as a 14 seed. This man literally pulled a 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. He goes from 0 to 3 wins, having 0 career wins for basically a full calendar year. And let's face it, he's 1 win away from really considering himself in Super League contention. Thoughts on this match, and Huo, I think, just kind of accepted fate pretty much there. It wasn't going to be his night.
I think this is a good example of how this relegation battle is going to be interesting to go because I think a lot of people actually had Ziemba marked someone who could potentially get relegated, and he went from being in that battle to potentially being in discussion for Super League. So it's kind of weird how this one tournament can flip his whole season around, and that's kind of a good thing for those people who are currently in that relegation battle. But yeah, I mean for Ziemba, just kind of just ran through it here. Laura didn't really have much to fight back and offer with, although the only game Laura won was the shortest game of the series. Most of these games actually went decently long. This was a 50-minute series, so I think at the end of the day, when all said and done, I think this is one of the more fairer matches, more fairer outcomes. I think for Laura, just kind of again, it's just kind of looking back at the the tape. I guess the tape, but also could be just the channel in general, the match itself. Just figuring out what they need to do when those games go longer to nail that win down. But I mean, for Samba, this has been an incredible turnaround. I mean, 0 career wins up to this point. Went 0 for 6 in his first 6 attempts. Gets the win against Dark in a very well played match, and then beats Nam and now beats Laura, and goes up against Tiger in the regional finals. So this is a huge turnaround here. This is a big Cinderella for ZM, but looking to get the job done here, go from 0 to hero, make his first Final Four in the same tournament he gets his first career win.
Yeah, he's got something going here right now. He's working with something. And congratulations to Ed, man. He's been fighting all year. Similar, ironically, do you remember the last time a guy from Illinois that had 0 wins a year ago? Rookie.
Well, Same
story.
Peter's a bit different because that was everyone's first tournament. So
Varigold last
year.
Varigold,
yes, Varigold, yes, I forgot. He's kind of just been off the map, just similar to me this entire season, so I kind of forgot. But
yeah, Varigold, almost same song history being repeated. Now, gee, this one, this is going to be our only real talk month. This was one of the worst games in terms of professional. Zay's up 2-1 and then randomly leaves midstream. I don't even know what no idea what happened. We have our 3rd career suspended game in league history behind the Dark games. And then up 2-1, and then Seth has the game won in game 8. Uses the power play, does a red wild, and thinks, let's do a KT sneak attack. It's gonna get the job. Somehow got it back in 9, but I don't even know. This region has been absolutely on crack, and this game proves that we will never know what really would have happened if we had finished that game on the same day. Congrats to Seth, but the mistakes in this game was something to behold. Is there anything else they want to describe to you? That was one of the most interesting games I've ever been a part of, both as a commentator and host, and of course as a spectator.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I mean, there's a lot of matches I could have maybe given this round, but I think overall better quality. But I think in general, this for the professional issues, it's got to be for me. Like, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think there was really any other options here with how this game went. I mean, Zay leaving in the middle of it for I'm still not sure why, but I think with Zay leaving during this match out of nowhere, it's just kind of a situation where I really don't know how to. It's a bit of a professionalism issue, but game did get restarted. Seth was able to bring it home in 9, so Seth moves on. I think for Zay here, I think he was looking at a decent, solid spot going into the next few games, but then just left randomly, had to restart the game the next day, and just kind of went all over the place. Got a 1-minute game in that 1-minute win in that game too, so a bit of a hard momentum thing going on there possibly. But Seth gets the job done, moves on to the Elite 8. I believe that's his first in his career, so big win for him there. But I think overall, just kind of have to look at that and consider that maybe there could have been something more for Zay if he didn't just leave in the middle of at the end of game 3 and have to restart it. So yeah, it's definitely something you're going to have to just look on and probably just try to avoid in the future. But yeah, I think this is a major disappointment and a missed opportunity for Zay here, and some of it's unfortunately kind of self-inflicted.
And G, we'll just do one more because the guys are here, so we'll
have to cut this a little short. We got one more here, so
we'll get this last one. This last match. Oh man. G, describe this match mid-game. Monkey says W toaster guy, man. W. This was confusing for Monkey. Had the game on wraps. Power playing game 8 for defense. Toaster guy finds the runs he needed, and he pulls the 0-60 in 3.2. Gee, and this is the problem with Monkey, right? He had the opportunity, and then just didn't know what to do with his hands. It's been his story all year. I don't know. It's been confused. It's up and down. He truly is the Katy Perry hot and cold song. What do you make of Toaster guy? This has been one of the most crazy. You know, we all are racing fans, G, here, and this man the next SVG or something. Jeez. But no, for real though, big win for Crikey Toaster guy. Monkey has to be missed out. He had it in his hands. He was up 2-0 and then just lost composure. That's all I got. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really the way you say it. I mean, we're looking at this tournament. There's two 14 seats in the regional finals here, so I don't think anyone would have thought that was going to happen going into this. And not a single one seed was in this SAMBA 16, so it's been a bit too crazy with how this has gone. But I think for Toaster Guy, I was able to get the job done. I think again, you say it's hot and cold with Monkey. I really think there's something you have to look at with his resume here because his good wins. I think his best wins are wins that, in theory, could be good wins. They're just not really great wins on paper. So, and this has been a very strange season. It's kind of a hard read. Monkey has like 6 wins, I think, but 2 of them are
Five.
DQs. 5 wins.
Five.
5 wins with 2 DQs. Or
Yes.
yeah, that's not great. That's not great. But I guess we'll just have to take a look and see how this goes for the rest of the season for Monkey. But this is a big run for Toaster Guy. This is definitely something he needed to throw himself back back into the field here after kind of just being nowhere in the first 2 tournaments. No, well, okay. Monkey has 7 wins with 2 DQ wins, so 5 non-DQ wins. But yeah, I think for Toaster Guy, this is a big opportunity here. He goes up against Seth Cole. I mean, we have. I think across the board, I don't think any single person in these regional finals have made the Final Four. So we're going to have a completely new Final Four here, no matter what way you turn it. So interesting stuff here. We're going to have to see how we go with that. We'll do our Electric Gate preview in a bit. May have to re-record. May have to record this at a different time. But but in terms of the actual episode, we'll probably do this in a bit. But
Yeah, we're going to do it a bit.
yeah.
Real quick, G. So G is going to do his D2 with G. We can still do that. I won't have to be here. But I want to say something, G. This is a fun fact that I don't think anyone's ever going to see. If you would have told me 3 tournaments in, we would have basically no guys that made a Final Four last year except myself into a final, I would have been called you crazy. And only Ashley and myself have made multiple Final Fours in the past. We're guaranteed 4 new compatriots here. What a weird season. There's a potential, G, that I looked on paper. We could have a 9 versus 14 Final Four. We could have a 8 versus 14. This is stuff we've never seen. We're going to get more into that, probably into the Electric Gate preview. We still have to talk about Super League Update Top 15, which is a massacre, to say the least. And then we also got to talk about the last topic will be our mids. We are officially halfway through the year. And for most people, the last 3 rounds are just for the people that are in. The tournament really kicks off around 19 and 20 of next tournament. But I'm gonna take my exit G, finish up T2 with G, and talk a little about the theming and the plans. Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tournament 3 of D2 has just started. It is the June Gelato, so not quite the alliteration there. We did cheat a little bit, but it's kind of hard to come up with stuff with J, so please forgive that. But I mean, June Gelato sounds close enough, and I think it's good too. Get a bit of an ice cream flavor theme going. So this was our biggest D2 field. Yeah, 48 players. So the play-ins have essentially become their own round now instead of just a play-in. So kind of a big thing going on. You got to wonder what this upcoming final tournament for the regular season is going to look like in terms of player field. Could be up to 54 possibly. So would be a big tournament here. It kind of has like a last gasp to try and get two non DQ wins to make it LCQ. That is the format. After tournament 4, anyone with at least 2 wins will be in the LCQ to try to get their shot into making the D2 championship, while the tournament winners and some at-larges are going to be in there already. So, I mean, obviously won't go through every single match, but I'll just pick a few highlights here. Jackson, who was the number 1 overall seed at the start of the first tournament, went 0-6 at the start, was able to get one of the most absurd series of hands I've ever seen in the game to win in 6 minutes to get his first win of both the season and his career. So finally broke the streak, had a bit of lady luck on his side, but is able to get the job done. We did have a few rookies who, in their debut, were able to make it out of this play-in. That includes Jenna, who took out a fellow rookie in ME. We also had Group B had none. Also had a DQ win with Jav. Also had Dumb James, who I don't think a lot of people were expecting to win that. Took out Gio, who a lot of people thought this was going to be his theming, going to be his tournament to lose, and unfortunately loses in the play-in, loses 3-0. Very disappointing result out of Gio there. And then we also had Acetol, who was our first player from Indonesia, who was able to get a win in the play-in there, was able to beat guest who unfortunately lost again in the play-in, cannot really figure out this round. So he's going to have to go into this tournament for trying to get 2 wins to keep his season alive. And then we also had Nightwalker, who was able to beat Reed. Reed goes 0-3, one of the worst records of the year so far, unfortunately for him. But Nightwalker moves on. So we do have a few rookies here who are going to put test their skills against some of these players in this next round. But next round's the round of 32. We got some good matchups here, and we've only had one DQ so far, and that was Surge who DQ'd against rookie Job. So Job moves on with a DQ win. That doesn't necessarily help him, but he goes in the round of 32. We'll go against Sam, but got a lot of good matchups into this round of 32. And I mean, this first round for the most part had a few upsets, but overall most of the seeds went the way they were seeded to. So going to be interesting to see how this goes in the round 32. If that's going to keep up, we're going to see a lot of upsets coming into play here. We've seen with this bot, there's been a lot of weird meta going on with with how these cards are going and these very, very short games. So we'll see how that plays out here and if that carries over in D2. But overall, we'll have to take a look how that goes. But I mean, this is a big tournament here because for a lot of these people in this round, looking to secure that second win to make sure their season stays alive after going into tournament 4, because anyone who doesn't have 2 non-DQ wins going into tournament 4 is at risk of their season ending. So got to make sure you get at least those 2 non-DQ wins to make sure you got a shot at the D2 championship if you're not already at the top of the field. So great stuff there. But overall, I believe that'll do it for D2. D2 wrapped up here. I'm going to pause the recording here. Then we'll be, once KT's done with this thing, we'll be back and keep this going with our Super League Top 15 analysis and then also our Electric Gate preview.
And we're back. We're going to go to the topic 2G, whole Super League list action, and it's been a massacre. Oh, man, top 15. Well, let's kind of start it off. Well, let's recap it.
Yeah.
Actually lost in round 2. You want to go, G?
I mean, yeah, I'm taking a look at this list, and I see a lot of red. There is definitely blood in the water right now for a lot of these people outside the top 25, so not looking good. I'm taking a look at this initial list. I only see 4 people who are not highlighted. No, they should be 3. No, we missed Strip. So correction,
Right.
there's only 3 now who are not highlighted in red. Everyone else in this top 25 is out. So in this Electric Gate, there are only 3 people in the top 25 in Super League, and 0 of them are in the top 10. So chaotic tournament to say the least. This is a huge opportunity for one of these people in the Electric Gate to get a big win here to secure themselves, because I think this bubble picture is going to get crazier with how chaotic this tournament's been.
Yeah, you got to look, G, the top 10, let's say. You almost have to say the people that had the biggest blown opportunities. You got to start with the first guy on the list. Probably going to have to be JT, right? Because he had the game 1. It's just the power play. Then you throw in a guy like Chamick who could have made the run, DJ. Stingray losing round 1, that hurts. Nam with the inconsistency. Monkey with the DQ wins, that doesn't really help. Guess the big guy really that kind of got saved from this, not really a big guy, but kind of got saved from this, was somebody like ALP who had 2 ranked wins. That might have saved him a little bit. You got guys like Julio, Ard, Yepez, Brock, they're all in the same boat. Sanford took a hit, right? He lost round 1. What do you make of this, G? I mean, obviously you look at the guys that had 0 wins, and we talked about this. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Well, that's what Ed did. That's what Toaster Guy did. You got guys like Seth who basically were nowhere to be found. They're making a run. Myth was nowhere to be found. Here he is. What is your thoughts on the cast? And if this continues throughout the season, do you think a guy that has 0 wins is still in it? Because that's what I believe. I think anybody's still in this, surprisingly.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing that with Ziemba right now, because he was at 0 wins his entire career going into this, and now he's up to 3 already. So in this tournament alone, so it's kind of these runs here. But I think with this whole discussion, I'd like to bring up the Super League, not the Super League bubble, the relegation battle actually. So just give me a second. I need to pull something up here, just make sure I have all this information with me. So just take a second, but I think I just got it right now. Yeah, so yeah, I have this bubble pulled up right now. I mean, it was mentioned before. We have exactly 12 people without a win right now, so that is essentially the cut right now. A moment one of those people who are at 0 wins wins, the one win winners are in danger, and I think that's actually where the cutoff is going to be. So I'm just going to go through. I'm going to go through this list right now because I think this is going to be an important conversation. Then we'll keep going into the Super League discussion because so a bit of a detour here, but I do want to discuss this because I think this is important with all the chaos that's happening right now. So at the all the people who have 1 win right now going into it that will be going to tournament 4 because all the people at this point are already out. It's Brian, MGR, Peter Onjak, James Ellison, the names H, Austin Rogers, Hasim Acosta, Logan, Aiden Smith, Bowtie, Zach A, Sam England, and Rodden. Those are all the 1 win people. 0 win people are Mac Johnson, myself, Clint B, Varigold, Leah, Brando, Jeff Bolton, Zachary Fitzwater, Payne Faust, Andreas Allen, and then you also have Eric Monaco and Stephen Colon, but I have no idea where those people are. Colon is guaranteed to not come back, so he will be one of the 8 relegated, but that's besides the point. I mean, you have to look at this battle here because I think this really comes down to these game wins here because I'm pretty sure one of these people who have 0 wins currently is going to get a win at least next tournament. So then it becomes a matter of these 1 wins. How many games have you won? Because for some of these people, it's kind of looking close right now. I mean, the current bottom 4 right now, I'll bottom 5 actually because there's one person with 7, but Aiden Smith, Bowtie, Zach all have 7 wins. That gets broken up based on how many games they've lost, respectively 13, 14, 15. And then you have Sam England at 6 and then Rodden at 5. I mean, those are the people who really got to be worried, especially with someone like Mac or myself win because me and Mac, I think game-wise, are in a relatively good spot. We just need that series win to jump up. It's the people who are at low on game wins who really need to start worrying. Because that's not a good situation to have. But you also got to consider also with how the tiebreakers work. If someone like Fitzwater wins and only gets 1 win, well, he's the guy who's going to be below the cut line because tournaments played is the second tiebreaker. So since he missed tournament 2, he's still going to be below the cut line. So he's going to actually need 2 victories here if he wants to get out of this relegation battle. So it's kind of interesting to see how that looks. It's going to be something you have to keep an eye out for. And with all this chaos, this is a huge opportunity for all these people to get out in this to get out of here and possibly join the Super League conversation like Edward Ziemba has. So all these people, I think you have to keep an eye out going out for tournament 4 and tournament 5. If this chaos continues, these are the people you got to keep a watch for because these are the ones who really need to benefit from the most because no one really wants to be in that bottom 12 once tournament 5 is concluded. But again, there's detours over there. If you want to give any thoughts on that before we jump back into the Super League top 25.
Yeah, G, you look at these people, you have to look at, there's just names that shouldn't be here, right? Yourself, we know your caliber players. Peter Onjak, even in this discussion, is just unbelievable to think. H, the top sophomore entering the year, everyone thought for sure he's safe, not here. Fitzwater, a legend. And the crazy part, G, I think Matt Johnson and Andreas Allen are the 2 guys to watch next tournament. They were impressive. I mean, Matt, it's got to go one way on a Game 7, right? Eventually. The way he's been busting out Game 7s. And then for Andre, I told you, I know some might say JT, but you made me sweat like that. You got some potential. I think those 2 are the guys to watch. Obviously, you and Golden and Fitzwater are the 3 guys to watch, always because of the stature, but there's just a lot of things here with the 1-win guys, and they shouldn't be here. I think desperation starts setting in, G. We're not going to have desperation T5. I think it starts next tournament, especially since last year we didn't have a tournament with regional formatting. It was conference, which is no longer an existent thing here. I think the desperation starts setting in. But back to Super League. Look, G, right now the bubble battle. I throw a couple dice out there and see where you land. Making a list right now, G, is like finding a needle in the haystack on that
Pretty
bubble.
much.
It's unbelievable. What is your thoughts on the parity this year, G? Only, like I said, the last thing I said was only 2 people, right? Myself and Ashley had made the Final 4. We're going to get new people. This has just been. I mean, last year was pretty bonkers. This tournament, not this bonkers. We're going to have a whole new set of characters. A lot of people we have no idea in these situations ever. Just what's your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Is Bad Brad a guy, if he wins this tournament, is he about to be the is he going to be the number 1 player? That's possible. I mean, it's insane to think that a guy like Brad has the most to lose, you have the most to gain. Just your thoughts on this overall.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at this because Brad is the only person in the top 20 that is still in right now, so he has the most to gain out of this. I think for Brad, you feel like you got to make it into the final four here, otherwise, this is a disappointment of a tournament with how much opportunity is on the table here. But this is just gonna be it's gonna be the chaos here because like we thought we were going to have a bit of a separation with like maybe the top 20 per se going into tournament four, but no, I think we're possibly going to have people who are out just on the outside of the top 25 who are still very much in this contention. We might have to look at the top 30 in general, even though it's only going to be top 25 ranks, because with how much chaos has happened, and I think this is a bit too much parity. I know we have a lot of good players here, but I think with some of the things that has happened as of late with the bot, it's caused a little too much parity here. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it's interesting because I think this is not something we necessarily saw last year. I think the Super League picture got mostly wrapped up in the middle of tournament four. To be honest, there was
Pretty
just kind
much,
of
yeah.
like there was kind of just like a clear cut and defined group of people, and like even though some of them had a bit of a lackluster tournament four and tournament five, I think people were relatively thinking there would have to be absolutely catastrophic events for them to get knocked out. So here, though, I really think it's still up in the air for a lot of these spots. Like, I only think the people who are like in the top five going into tournament four are going to be relatively safe. I could still I see 6th through 15th not really able to get off the boosters yet because of how close most of this is. So, and another thing also with these tournament wins, they're huge to get because no matter what happens the rest of the season, you're good to go. Which is why Ashley's, even though I think she's relatively safe, you got to wonder if you got to wonder how she's going to fare without that tournament victory. Could affect some of her seeding. And then you also look at KT Captain, who both had really early exits this tournament, but they're relatively safe because of the March and April victories respectively. So yeah, but then you look at someone like DJ Curtis, who does not have that victory, and he might take a big hit in the rankings here with the round of 32 exit. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be so much shuffling going on when we get to the second Super League reveal show. I really do not know what to expect going into this, but for some people, this is the disaster situation, and for others, maybe it's a potential fail from what could have happened. But yeah, chaos all around. This was not something a lot of people were expecting going into this, so we'll have to see how this plays out for the remaining tournaments.
Unless Bad Brad does end up winning this whole thing, someone's stealing a bid, G. I hate to say, I don't think we had Ghost Tago win T3. Brad, Brad maybe. Believe it or not, I don't. I know you weren't here, but me and Short talked. He didn't trust JT. He didn't trust Cap going full send. Brad actually could have made a Final Four. But everybody else that's not named Brad, unless Brad wins this whole, someone's going to steal the bid. It's like Daytona, right? Oh, we got a new winner. That's going to be crucial. Imagine, G, if Toaster guy pulls it off, right? That's a bid stealer. No one had him ever, even remotely touching Super League. Ed Ziemba does it. That's a bid stealer. And that's what you got to love about the only thing you got to love about this tournament is some have everything to lose and nothing to lose. And that makes the only thing, I guess, a little silver lining about this. But to make a list right now and say we know who the bubbles are, I still think there is a top three breakaway with Chomik potentially in the fourth spot. If Brad gets to number 5 as the fifth guy, okay. But you're probably right. I don't even think Chomik is safe. I think it's really, if Les Brad gets the job done, I think it's fifth on back, G. And if he doesn't, then forget it's still the top three, and we're still waiting for fourth and fifth, and then we'll start figuring out sixth. This very well, G, I'm going to make a prediction, kind of like, not really a hot take, but really I think this is going to be expected. I think it comes down to the last card in T5 in the finale. I don't think we're going to know who that last guy is. Obviously excluding D2, right? That's a whole nother conversation. But for the T1, the last 15, we won't know until the last card is played in T5 in that finale. Then we'll, I think, know. Last year we just had it sewed up mid T4, and that was the conference format. So it made things even more sewable. This year, I don't see it. I think it's going to get chaotic. I think desperation comes early. It's going to be wild come July. Is that all you want to say, G, to wrap that up, or anything else you want to add?
No, honestly, I think that's kind of it because it's kind of hard to gauge this besides there's going to be a big shuffle up because we have so few of these people still in right now. So I think bid stealer is a good term for it. I feel like when you throw that term around, you got to look at someone like Clay Wolf last season, tournament 5, almost made a huge run. I feel like that would have been a potential bid stealer, but Yeah, I think the with how much parity we have, and if this continues, you got to keep a lookout on some of these lower seeds to potentially steal a bid here. Like even some of the people I just mentioned in this relegation battle could have a big run tournament four, tournament five, and be a bid stealer. I mean, and there's definitely some people in this group who we've seen in the past do very well. So I feel like that you have to keep an eye out for a lot of these people. I really don't think you can count many people out right now.
No, there's too many heads in the game right here. I'm thinking there's about 50 people that, on the right day, in the right series, in the right time, right place, you can go out there and get four, right? Get to a final four both times, T4 and five, and then you're going to start to consider yourself a potential top 15 bid. It's crazy. This is probably the craziest thing we've ever seen. We'll see how it comes in July. But, gee, it's time for that time. It's time for that Electric 8 predictions, a little bit of preview on each of these matches, 4 matches. And none of these people, except for 2, have been in this spot. Let's start it off. Cupid Shuffle, Myth and Brad. Well, Brad, he was here back in March, and we all know what happened there. That was something he liked to forget. No idea on Myth. He's never been in a 2 power play situation. He has the best of 9, but never 2 power play situation. This is gosh, I don't know. Gee, Myth is getting these monster hands, and I think that's ultimately going to bite him. I don't think he can. Even if he does get it, I think Brad is just really good under the clutch situation. I think this is his tournament now. He knows if I don't make a Final Four, this is a waste. He's going to come in with the chip on his shoulder. I'm going bad Brad 5-3. I think he just has too much in the tank. He knows what's on the line. Give me bad Brad 5-3. What do you got, G?
I think with how this tournament's gone, you gotta wonder with these monster hands, like when do they stop? And I really don't know if they're gonna stop because this is not just here. This is like also in other places as well. Myth has been getting monster hands everywhere, and I feel like I don't know where the stoppage here is because this is the style he's found. It's just worked, and I mean he's just running with it, and it's a style I don't personally love, but was been looking and looking for a very long time to find something, and he's finally landed on something that works. It's gonna be tough because it's a style that's really hard to combat because a lot of it relies on just rolling well, and just going with that. So yeah, this is kind of a difficult one to say. I'm going to be honest. I actually think with how this tournament's gone, I don't think that stops here. I have Myth winning 5-2, which seems like a bit
Wow.
of a big score, but I mean that's how these usually go. So I actually think Myth wins it, and this is going to be a situation where we have a Final Four where it could be a lot of low card starts here.
Yeah, I don't blame you, G, making that 5-2 prediction, Myth winning this game. And I don't think any prediction can be really seen as a hot take because we really don't know. We have no idea what these guys are going to. We know Brad's been in this spot before, but was he really? I mean, he got torched in March, right? So no one really has the data to say, all right, concrete, right? This next game, I mean, same thing, right? The one time Yoshi got here, he got torched by Sanford, and Ghost is on a 13-0 streak. Look, I think Yoshi can win this game. I really do. I think he's got a great chance to win this game. But once again, Ghost plays this ridiculous. The problem with him is he plays Echo Chamber like Drip, plays so fast, and he doesn't really check the tape. Yoshi will be more aware of the table. But if you got monster hands plus this quick pace, you almost get into a sweat box. Whereas we know with Brad and Myth can play a little slower. Ghost does not play slow. I think this one's the only one that goes 5-4. I'm going Ghost here. It's hard to argue with 13-0, man. It really is. I think Yoshi personally is the better player on these non-clutch situations. This is a clutch situation. I think he learns the platform a lot and goes 9. But unless he can stop the echo chamber, I don't know. I think he's just going to fall short here. I just got a feeling Ghost will lose some games. He's not going 18-0. It goes 5-4. It's the only one that goes 5-4. I'm going Ghost in a 5-4 class. What do you think, G?
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at this, and I feel like a lot of my predictions for this are going to base this on how this tournament has gone so far. In my head, I think there's only like one matchup that maybe isn't going to go the way I would think it could, but I think with how this gone so far, this is going to favor Ghost here because he's 13-0 right now. He's some of this is he's been able to get some good hands. I don't think it's as monstrous as Myth's hands, but he's been able to get some really good really good hands here and be able to get some really good plays here to close out these games. 13-0. I mean, yeah, it's a really good situation for Ghost here, and I mean, we know historically, like sometimes Yoshi kind of has issues in these bigger games, and I don't know if it's going to necessarily be all on him in this case, but again, I feel like this is going to be a situation where he might have another lopsided in terms of how this is dealt. So I unfortunately think this is going to be like a 5-1, I think, actually, which is kind of crazy, but that's how this tournament's gone so far, and that's just the prediction I'm going to have to go with.
Yeah, I don't blame you, G. It's just we haven't seen many close games, right? And that's the thing. We did see a little bit in the last round, but a lot of them were self-inflicted mistakes or just who knows. And speaking of, we don't know. These are two guys that we've never seen in this spot. Tago, Ziemba. Tago's had these monster hands. Ziemba has just been skirting around, making monsters. Something's got to give. I'm going with the upset, G. I believe in the Ed train. I think these guys. Now, the one thing I will say about this game, they both like the light switch a lot. And usually when you light the light switch a lot, all you got to do is stay disciplined. I don't know if Tago is ready for what Ed's going to throw to him. I think Ed's going to pull some things. He's been getting bailout heaven more than Tago has. I'm going with the upset. I think Ed pulls a shocker. He makes his first Final Four. He gets this one 5-3. I think all the Super League guys know what's at stake, but Edward's on ridiculous house money. And we haven't seen house money like this since Varigold and Yepes really in Super League last year. House money gets the job done. Ed pulls the stunner because they play two similar style. It comes down to bailouts. I think Ed gets more bailouts. 5-3, Ed.
Yeah. I This is another tough one to call. I think with how this has gone, this is really just. I think this is going to be the most split game, but I think I'm actually going to go with Tago here. I think the run unfortunately ends for Ziemba here. I'm saying like a 5-3 result for Tago. I mean, I think Ziemba had a great run. He's really had a breakout tournament, but I don't know. I think from 0 wins to Final Four seems a bit too crazy for me. I think it's already been a very big upset run, but I feel like with most of these, it's just going to have to end at some point. So I'm going to go with Tago here. He's really been putting a lot of the work in to get to this point, and even with how this tournament's gone, I still think he's going to be able to make it through there. So yeah, just give me Tago 5-3.
Like I said, it's gonna come down to really with that game. I think it's the only game we can say it comes down to the light switching and who can stay more disciplined. The last game, Jay, this is the ultimate who knows who. This is going to be a game of who makes the least mistakes. Toaster, he's made some mistakes. Seth, he's made mistakes. Can't call Uno. Power play. Toaster with some unusual plays. Gosh, I know Toaster's a great story. I really think he can pull this off, but I can't see Seth making all these mistakes again like he did against Zay. He was flawless against me. Was not flawless against H. If the pattern continues, this is his fourth game of the tournament. I'm going patterns. He just stays flawless. Give me a 5-3 Seth. I don't think the Toaster thing is that bad of a story, but I think he's been getting monster hands too, similar to Myth, but something about Toaster guy. He's gonna fight and claw. He's been getting some unusual monkey with the composure. He got Nick in a fluster. He beat Sanford, which was the most experienced guys. I think he's someone that could actually make Super League if he does this again and goes to 2 more. Believe it or not, E8s, he gets 9 wins on the season. He could potentially really start to scare people. I think it ends here, but I wouldn't be shocked if he wins. I'll go Seth 5-3, but it's going to be a close game than people think. What do you got?
This is something I actually forgot to mention during the Seth Zay recap. Seth Cole had an atrocious mistake in Game 8 of that series that very nearly cost him the entire thing. Like the power play, and then completely missed the call on Uno when the table check was like 2 plays ago. So yeah, that was bad. I'm a bit concerned with that going into this. I really think whoever wins this one is really just I mean, you said it before, playing with house money. But if I had to say who I think wins based on how this tournament has gone, and just basing it off what we've seen in the past, I really think this is something where you have to take a look and just say that I actually think Toaster Guy is the one who is in a slightly more favorable position. And the reason I say that is because he's been able to take down a lot of good players with the way he's been able to run it. And then the players who we kind of have a bit of a question mark on, it's kind of like a close, but he's able to make it out. I think Seth's one of those players who I think we expect to do a little better in terms of play style, but I think it's just going to have to see. I really think this just comes down to not making mistakes here, and I think both these guys are both at risk. I could see this being very easily just being a coin toss, but I think I'm going to go with Toaster Guy here in a 5-4. I think this is going to be the only one that goes the full distance, but yeah, I think one of these really low seeds makes the final four here, and if you had to tell me which one to look at, I feel like Toaster Guy might be the one based on just the vibes. This is solely a vibes based pick, but I do have some kind of feeling with this one.
Really throw a wrench in anything you want. Throw a couple lottery balls and see what you can. Basically, you can just do anything you want. Throw a bunch of names in the hat. You'll probably come up with a better winner than what we just made. The only guy that legit has the pressure on is Brad. He knows that if he wins this game, Final Four, the job is done. No matter what happens in the last 2 rounds, he can at least say he made a Final Four. If he doesn't, that could affect him psychologically, sure. But we're going to see what happens. It's Electric 8. Things are about to get really stormy on the dance floor, I think. The electricity is about to be pumped in pretty hard here. We'll find out. Well, Jay, it's that time of the year. We didn't really do this last year because last year we had play-ins and there was no 30 rounds. This year there's 30 rounds, right? There's 6 rounds per tournament. That's 6 times 5. We're halfway through the year. Obviously, these last 3 rounds only matter for certain people. We won't see anybody back till round 19, which is we're kind of doing like a real racing season. We're getting close to that playoff time, really. What are your expectations, not only for the second half of the year, but what have we learned through the midway through the season? Give us like a 5-10 minute scoop on what we learned. We've seen everything and anything this year, and this tournament has been the culmination of that.
Yeah, I think the way this has gone, it's just kind of a. It's kind of hard to say though. It's kind of hard to like actually make a general discussion on this go because I feel like a lot of this has been leaning more into I guess the roulette aspect of this more than we've been used to seeing. So um, I think with what we've learned with this season overall, as we are like halfway, as you said, a lot of variety. I feel like there's not really anyone you could really count out. I feel like any result could happen. I don't think any single person's safe from getting upset or anything like that. So I feel like every game you got to just keep an eye out for. And I think with some of these, you just got to play more in the. And I think this is where the meta has been right now. It's more of the short style, which I think for some people is really difficult, especially those who like don't really have a great luck factor. There's definitely some people I can think of who on the table, their like luck factor is pretty low, so that could be a problem for them. But yeah, I'm not loving what the bot's been doing right now. We do have a new bot next season, so hopefully that will get
Yes.
remedied. But yeah, I think for these people who are left in, I think this is a big opportunity to get a win here, just to make sure any of the chaos that might happen in these last 2 tournaments is avoidable. But yeah, this has been a weird. Been an interesting start to the season. I don't think this is starting the same way as it did in 2023. I think 2023 was more cooler, but also had chaos and different elements. But yeah, we'll just have to see how this goes. But yeah, I think for the most part, these wins and especially I guess the making the final as well could be very important for a lot of these players who are looking to get in that top 15.
Yeah, what I've learned this so far this season, that rookie class is stacked. That place is that's too much of a conglomerate. There's no doubt. That is getting broken up next year for obvious reasons because the only rookies that are going to be here next year are the D2 promoters and maybe the guys that just haven't played 2 or 3 tournaments. That's probably been the biggest thing I've noticed. The rookie conglomerate has been absolutely insane. Next thing I have to look at is what happened to the Super Leaguers, G. I mean, what has happened to the Super Leaguers, man? It's been a rough year for a lot of us. You look at obviously we lost 3 off the bat, which not 2 are self-inflicted. 1 was just nothing we can control. You look at what happened to you in goal, it's just been rough. Peter has not looked the same since Super League. Yepez is hanging in there. Cody's hanging in there. Sanford's hanging in there. I took care of business in March, but it hasn't been the year for the Super League. Another thing to look at, too. I really want to know what the mental game is going to be. I talked to Caesar a lot about this. Shout out Caesar. I really want to know what the mental game is going to be at the end of the year for these guys that are in that battle, 5th through 30th. I don't know. We don't know a lot of these guys. Have we ever seen JT in a clutch spot? T5? Have we ever seen DJ or Monkey? Or we know Eli was sort of there last year, but not about. Have not seen what the rookies have done. Obviously, we haven't seen really what Carson is sophomore, right? We don't know too much about Ghost or Tago. Who knows what ALP or Dark, right? At the bottom, we really don't know what to expect from the mentality of these guys. Are they going to be more aggressive in T4? You mentioned the meta. Look, at the end of the day, G, what I'm seeing is the polished guys got to adapt. That's not easy to do. It's not, because when you play this almost short iron game, if we're going golf here, you play this short iron game between 0 to 30 yards. It's not always going to land on the green. Sometimes you'll miss the green and you're off 20 feet making a putt on the fringe, and I don't know if the polished guys are ready for that. Yes, we have the new bot, but gee, I hate to say it's not coming in anytime soon. Let's face it, it's June right now. That's still a solid 8 months away before we even see the debut of it, right? Which will be February, and then there's some off-season stuff that we'll try with it. Of course, there is testing going on, but you can't really, the old adage, right? You test the bot, but then you got to go back. That can screw people up too. So you want to be a tester early? There's a lot of things that are just happening right now in the league that's going to be a transition period for some. What I expect the second half of the year, look, desperation is going to pick up. I mean, I could see this, G, right now. I could see 11 to 12 rookies making Super League. If anybody can win from 0 or 1, and there's plenty of rookies out there, this could be a rookie-oriented field where we see 11 of them in, including the D2 guy who's automatically going to be a rookie. This could be something that we have not seen before in the history of this league. And now I know it's a young league, but still, just the fact that we've been 8 tournaments deep here now, and we still don't know what to expect from some of these guys like ALP. Who knows? We don't know about Tapir, right? He lost the lane up 3. We don't know still. We don't have enough data yet. It's going to get crazy. And then, of course, from hosting, I think the hosting's been fine. Obviously, adding Caesar was huge. But who knows, right? When we go to T5, that's a straight up different package. We don't have a media package announced for that. That's reliant on how many people are in a certain spot. How many games actually matter? Are there guys that are on a relegation game? Are there guys that are in a are they in a Super League bubble game? Are they in a buy spot, double buy spot? So many games can matter that where we could see 28 games streamed in the first round, T5. And that's a whole different element of the league that we have not seen. There's been more stream games. There's been more film study. There's been more bailouts and card. It's going to get wild. I think we're going to know by round 24, which is going to be the end of T4, basically, where we stand. And maybe we'll get a clear bubble between maybe 5th on 20th instead of 5th on 40th on back. But nothing's guaranteed anymore, G, which makes things really, really hard to guess. I think just say expect the unexpected rest on you. I don't think I can make a clear assumption of what's going to happen. All I know is the hosting should get better. Short's done a great job, but midway through the season, if I would have told you that we have a lot of rookies that are in contention, we have only one Super Leaguer potentially in the top 15 next reveal show, and from last year, and we have no idea what to expect on half these guys from 20th on back. And we got guys that have 0 wins that could just make a 0 to 60 run in 3 rounds, just like that. Bring it on. I don't know. I guess the only message I really would say is if you're not a guy that's won a tournament or has 9 or 10 wins right now, you're not safe. We saw it, Charles Sanford, indestructible round. What happened? He lost. I mean, that just shows you anyone can lose at any time, any round. And that's a scary precedent that we had not seen ever in this league. And the psychological and mentality game, especially when you lose in these bigger rounds here, we're going to see the mettle of people come T4 in July. That's my thoughts, G. That's how I sum it up. Anything else you want to add here before we close it out?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I think hosting side things have been pretty good, but besides that, I think on the playing side, I mean, we're just gonna have to see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, a bit of a chaotic tournament here, but overall, I think it's been better from last year, and in terms of hosting, I think we're just going to go up from here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes from this point forward.
And then real quick, G, for D2, obviously we don't really mention too much of that. That they're not even in the midway. They're past the midway because there's only 4 tournaments. I would say for there, it's gotten a lot better. There's not as many DQs, a lot more people coming in. I know we had some problems when we started the league over there, but it's getting better. We're
Growing
gonna see
pains.
on that. We're gonna see on that though for this next round, right? Because this is the ultimate litmus test. The play-ins are done. We have 48 people now, down to 32. This is basically the equivalent of last year in T5 of D1. We'll see how that goes. I think it's doing great though. It's definitely improved from where we thought it will be, and we'll see how that LCQ is. Remember, double elimination over there for their D2 championship. That's something we've never seen before. Period. So that's a whole different element we have to look into. But you want to say anything on D2 before we wrap it up?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there was definitely some growing pains in the first tournament, but I think we've gone up from there, and I think we've pretty much established ourselves. Play-ins, I mean, play-ins usually have a lot of, some DQ issues, but only one DQ happened, and if everyone plays in the round of 32, that's probably going to be only one DQ in the entirety of the June Gelato, which is the third tournament, which would be it's better. It would be better than what happened with D1's T3. So I think that's a big step in the right direction. So hopefully we get that. Hopefully we get that going and have all those 16 games played in this upcoming round. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll keep you updated as that goes along as well.
Absolutely, G. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day. Appreciate the fans listening at home. Check us out, of course, Apple Pod, Spotify, and our home base on YouTube. This season continues and continues and continues to get crazier and crazier. This tournament has been the icing on the cake. If you like chaos, you've come to the right place. If you like polished material, we'll see a T4 for that, because right now, expect the unexpected. Who knows? Shout out to Grim, shout out to Cody, shout out to Caesar, shout out to everybody that's been helping with that project on the Bot 2025. What a presentation, G. We'll discuss that, of course, probably another episode, another time. But thank you to everybody that got that going and got that up and running. It's been a pleasure. For all of us here at MRE and the Wildcard Podcast, check us out in the links below, and we'll see you back for the Electric 8 recap, and then, of course, the last episode before the finale, which will be the overall recap, which will be the Final Four preview and finale. To everybody, and we'll see you again next time.